back to All Talk. Kevin Dietz with Marie Osborne. Tom has the day off. What was predicted to be the craziest presidential election year of all time is not disappointing. We have two candidates emerging as the likely candidates, Joe Biden and Donald Trump. The majority of Americans do not want them to be the candidates. The majority think they're too old. And now one of them, Donald Trump, will have a criminal trial in the middle of the campaign season. Marie, the first former president to go to trial on criminal charges, and don't expect a plea deal. This one's going to go to trial.
No, as we talked about yesterday, there's the president, former president, seems to want to be in this situation in that he's turning it to an advantage in terms of being shown in the courtroom, the photos that are coming out. He's not shying away from that. But there is the issue that he's going to have to be present for almost 6 weeks for this New York trial. He's going to have to be in the courtroom. How do you conduct a presidential campaign when that's going on?
Yeah, absolutely. And he tried to get this pushed until after the election. He was unsuccessful.
Right.
So we'll have to see how this one plays out. Let's bring in Dave Dulio, director of the Center for Civic Engagement and Political Science, professor at Oakland University. Good morning, Dave. How are you?
I'm well. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, appreciate it. Marie's right. Donald Trump has been able to make most attacks turn into his favor in the form of stronger support for him, at least from his base. Will that happen this time, or is this different?
There's no reason to think that this is any different. I think, as we've seen ever since Trump has emerged on the political scene, he is the king of earned media. He gets it wherever he goes in whatever context he's in. And Marie's 100% right? He comes out and makes a statement that everybody covers, that everybody repeats on their air, and it is just another opportunity for him to spread his message, really focused on, the fact that he thinks this is a witch hunt, people are coming after him, but then he usually extends it to, to his supporters. They're not just coming after me, they're coming after you. So this is an opportunity for Trump. And in terms of conducting a presidential campaign while having to be in the courtroom, I think you'll see him continue to jet set around the country as much as he can, not only because he can do it, right, with planes and quick travel these days, but it will also be another contrast with President Biden, who's unlikely to be doing those kinds of events.
So, but this is 6 weeks for this trial. This is what they're guessing it'll take to get through this trial. 6 weeks. I just think that that's a pretty big hill to climb for anybody who's trying to conduct a presidential campaign. And it's at a critical time. Here we're starting to get into the really to the meat of these primaries with some of these battleground states. Do you think there's going to be some voter fatigue of watching this former president in court every day?
I do think that there is fatigue. I'm not sure it's voter fatigue. I think for some, it's Trump fatigue, and it is people. Then this is why I don't think it's going to have that big of an impact, right? The vast majority of Americans, especially those who are going to participate either in a primary campaign or a primary election, or in the general in November, they already know what they think about Donald Trump, right? Seeing him one way or the other in these court appearances isn't going to change their mind. The one thing we have seen in survey research over the last couple of months that could be an impact is a conviction. If Trump is convicted of something by a court, that is something that could turn public opinion.
That's what Kevin keeps saying. Is that very? He keeps saying that over and over again.
I got a question for you. I wonder, because you talk about free media in this trial, and Trump's going to jet set around. Do you think the media will cover Donald Trump every day when he comes out and says whatever he says? Will all of the stations cover him, or will that be something you just find on Fox and Newsmax and CNN and MSNBC and some of the others ignore it? Or do you think he will get day after day a platform to say what he wants?
I think it'll be a spectrum, right? I think you're right. Fox and Newsmax, they're going to cover every word, right? Because his base wants to see it, right? And his base watches those networks. I think CNN and MSNBC and the major networks they have to cover it some, but as we've seen with other Trump speeches in the past, CNN will start and then cut away when he says something that they deem objectionable, and MSNBC gives it a little bit of time and then pivots to their round table with Rachel Maddow and the other guests, right? So I think it depends on network. And again, right, the other networks don't have to cut because their base already has made up their mind about Donald Trump, and as has the Fox News viewership as well.
Dave, the former president is facing several legal challenges in several different cases. So which is the one do you think he has to be worried about the most? Is it this one involving these payments to the porn star Stormy Daniels?
No, I think it's the one about trying to overturn the election, right? I think that the rest of it is it's all relative. I think if this was the only one, it would be really important, right? But with all of the other swirl of his legal problems or cases, right? I think it something like this, as important as it is, it gets lost in the shuffle.
It's interesting to me. It's actually fascinating to me because the facts that are going to come out in this trial, there was a time when that would absolutely be enough to completely end a campaign. That would be it. It would be over.
In fact, it did. I mean, we've seen other campaigns that have gone down in flames.
Do you think as this comes out, the details, do you think Trump supporters will be like, you know what? I've just had enough. This is just too much for me now that they get into the details the way they do in a trial. Or do you think they just say, it doesn't matter what this guy does, this is my president?
It's much more the latter. I mean, I think, and you're right that in the past, these kind of salacious details would have sunk other candidates. Heck, we've seen candidates go down in flames for much, much less. And it's just something about Trump and the way that he has been able to, manipulate might be the wrong word, but sort of frame these things in the political world that he's been able to survive them. I think that and heck, if this kind of stuff was going to sink him, it would have done so in 2016 when it first came out. You think of some of the things that he said or was caught on tape saying, and he still won, right? So it's like the American public, or at least his base, is willing to give him a pass.
Fascinating. Dave Giulio, Director of the Center for Civic Engagement and Political Science, Professor at Oakland University. Thanks so much for your time and insight.
My pleasure. Have a good day.
You're listening to All Talk.